Hello, Bob Jackson here. I'm your K through 12 educational liaison for the PRISM project here at Rose-Hulman. I'm coming to you today in this video to do a short informational video or lesson on the quiz activity and the settings that go with the quiz activity. On your course, you have the quiz activity in each of the sections of your course that you can either build tests or quizzes or other types of assessments. It'll be up to you what level of an assessment that they are. I mean, they could even be put in as assignments, however they're going to be working as a quiz type setup. Okay, so on the quiz activity there are some settings I think a lot of people do not realize even exist on the quiz activity settings, and then this will also determine how some of the questions behave on your quizzes, okay, regardless to what types of questions that you have. You can have behind each of your quizzes you can have quiz question banks, and those should be categorized on your course relative to your quiz activities and the units of study in your course, which I can get into in other videos in the future. Okay, so what I want to do, I just want to kind of walk you through the quiz activity and how you should look at some of the settings and some of the settings you should know about on the quiz activity. Okay, so I'm on my chemistry course. I'm going to come down to one of the sections of my course, like Unit 1 here, and I'm going to go to add an activity or resource. Okay, I'm going to choose the quiz activity. It just says quiz on it. Okay, and that's going to open up these settings. Okay, so you want to start out with the title. Okay, I'm going to say like Unit 1 quiz. Okay, now then, on the quiz activity, to let you know right from the start, you are not making up the questions. You're just setting up the activity that you can then link to your questions or create your questions to put into the quiz activity. Okay, so we will not be making any questions in this. Okay, so now then, on your quiz, first thing you want to do is give a title. Okay, it can be relative to your unit or the or concepts that you're on at the time. Okay, description, this is where you can put any instructions to the students that you want them to know in order to know how to do this quiz activity you set up. Okay, if you put those in here, if you want it to appear on the main course page, you do need to select this button here. If you put instructions or descriptions in here and do not check this, the only way the students will see those instructions is if they click on the quiz activity to get started on the quiz. Then they'll see it. Okay, timing. These are very important settings for doing any type of your assessments, whereas you only want them open for a certain length of time, or you only open for a group of students at a given time. Okay, so it's very important that you get these dates in here right for the open and close times, and in your instructions to students you want to be sure and let them know that it is, if it's going to be a timed quiz, you need to let them know the beginning time and the end time. Okay, so you can do your start time and close the quiz when the quiz is going to close out, and when it closes out, it will no longer appear for the students to be able to open and do, okay, after the close time. You can also put a time limit, okay, on once they get started on the quiz, how much time they have. So if it's just a quiz, it might be like 15 or 20 minutes. If it's a test, it could be 50 minutes, an hour, maybe more. Okay, if it's a final exam. Okay, and then when the time expires, this is an important setting here. Okay, they're working on a quiz activity and the time expires. Okay, these options in this drop down are going to tell you what happens. Okay, open attempts are submitted automatically. In other words, they're done and everything they've done is being submitted. Okay, they're not getting to finish any more questions. Okay, there is another option is to have grace period on the question that they're working on, that they finish it, and when they finished it and go next, it's going to submit them as being done. Okay, they will not be able to do any more questions. Okay, and then attempts must be submitted before time expires or they're not counted. Okay, in other words, there's no grace period. Okay, those are options, and those are important options that you can choose, but you also need to tell within instructions to your students that the quiz is going to behave in this manner. Okay, it is kind of an important thing for them to know. Okay, they'll be upset if they don't know in some instances. Okay, grade. This is where you want to be sure and put in if it's a quiz or a test or assignment grade that's hitting the grade book. Okay, you want to be sure and select the correct category. Okay, you can do a grade to pass. So like if you're doing some mastery learning in your courses, then if you set a passing score on this and then set a restriction on the future test or some future activities on your course, then the students will have to meet this criterion before they can go to the next. Okay, so if you're setting these, they can set it up to where you can set restrictions on other assignments in your course that are based on this. Okay, attempts allowed. Okay, you have from unlimited to you can pick in this drop down from 1 to 10 times that they can do it. And like I say, like quizzes, I did give some actually unlimited attempts on quizzes. Now unlimited can be and will be if you do your settings up here, that the open and close times of your quiz. If it opens at 10 a.m. and closes at 10:20, they could have unlimited attempts until that time is up. Okay, and that's why I did several actually of my college classes that way, to where they can get unlimited attempts, but they had a set amount of time to get those attempts done. Okay, I actually did it with college class where I did it 24 hours, and how many times I did a quiz in that, then they can improve their grade. But I never did it on if it was a test. Okay, then grading method. This is where if I'm given unlimited attempts, I like to do an average of their grade. You know, you can choose as a teacher as to just what you'd like to do with that. You go the highest grade to achieve. Well, that's that's your decision. You know your students and what's best for your learning environment in your room and the climate that you're setting for learning. But you can go highest grade, average grade, the very first attempt, and no more attempts after that gets the grade, or the very last attempt they get done. Okay, so if you go this setting here, then you definitely want to look at these settings. Okay, layout. The layout is how the students are going to see the questions as they're taking the test online. Okay, so like every question, okay, you get a new page, and in other words, there's only one question on that page at a time, and then when they're done with it and submit it, they go to the next. There's only one question on the page. You go to the drop down here, you can have more than one question on page. Okay, okay, and that's just kind of layout. It's a personal preference, I suppose. I've always done where I just have one question on the page. Okay. Okay, navigation method. Okay, free. They're going to be able to navigate back and forth on the quiz and go back to some questions. If you go sequential, they have to do the questions in order. Once they submit the question, they can't go back. Okay, a lot of teachers will like this on the quizzes. Okay, question behavior. this one I really like for with every attempt on the quiz. If you pick this, then and you go yes, then the parts of the question, the A, B, C, D's, or 1, 2, 3's, whatever, however you have them on your test, like I have a multiple choice test, the multiple choice answers are going to be scrambled each time they do a different attempt. Even if they're doing unlimited attempts, they're not going to get the questions in the same order or the answers on questions in the same order. Okay, feedback, you can, on your questions, you can have feedback in different ways. I like deferred feedback, where they don't get the feedback until all attempts have been turned in. Okay, the quiz is closed out, and then students will get feedback. Okay, but you can also do immediate feedback, and that's where, as they're going through the quiz, they're getting feedback as they go. Okay, whether they got them right or not. Okay, and you can do a neat one, and you can look through these. Each one of these, you can look here, and it'll tell you about each one of them. Okay, if you go to the help. Okay, I'm just telling you some of the ones I like. Interactive with multiple tries. That means it's going to give them some feedback. Okay, as you go through, but you're going to see down here in some of these settings down here is where I choose the interactive feedback, interactive and feedback that they're getting as they're going through the quiz. If you select this, and it's going to give you some options down here in this one of these two down here. I'll see it when I get down there. Okay, because what you choose here does determine other settings that you'll be given in the overall settings. Okay, review options. Okay, now here's where what I was talking about. If you select here, and if I go interactive with multiple tries, then you'll see I'll get these options over here open. Okay, but if I go with deferred feedback during the attempt, I'm not going to want the student to get any feedback at all, so none of these are selected. But if I go to interactive with multiple tries, then these are selectable. Okay, doesn't mean that you have to be given feedback for those. Now, most of this feedback is going to be on your questions. When you create your questions in your question banks, the feedback that we're talking about is the specific feedback that you give back is mainly going to be given there on the exact questions. Okay, so, and here's where it's like you're getting feedback on the attempt. Okay, whether correct, the points that they get, how many points they got for it. Okay, specific feedback. Okay, and that's where you're got very specific feedback on the question itself that you've typed into the question. Okay, when they've got it either right or wrong. There's a place on their questions where there's going to be a general feedback for like an overall, how they did on the quiz overall. Okay, and on specific questions, whether like a general would be good job. Specific would be this is wrong because. Okay, or almost right, but you had to take this into consideration. You will have blanks on the questions to put those feedbacks in, but they can be selected here if you choose this method. But that's not going to be, if you do deferred feedback, they don't get the feedback until the quizzes attempts are done, then you don't get those options. But you can go now through these settings and select what feedback they're going to get whenever you give your feedback to them. Okay, feedback for right answers, general, specific feedback, and you'll see these settings on your questions. Okay, for right answers, specific, these are the most basic ones. Overall feedback is like an overall score on the quiz or exam, where you can say it's specific levels, like they get 95% or above. You say tremendous job, you're brilliant, or whatever. Okay, or if they down there in the 60%, you can be given the feedback guide. I think you need to start working a little bit harder type of thing, and maybe give them a little more information as far as that goes. That'll be up to you on the actual questions. Okay, here you're just selecting what types of feedback you do want to give them on each. Okay, appearance. Okay, I've not used these. the user's picture can be seen on the page. I don't know that very many people use this at all, but you can select that here if you want to, small or large image where they're seeing as they're taking it. Okay, decimal places and grades you can select here. Okay, I never go beyond 2, but you could have it going 9. Okay, and I don't know that anyone else uses much else there. No, most I don't think use the blocks during quiz attempts anyway. Okay, safe exam browser. This is something they never had before that you can use now, to where it will lock them to that tab, that window, some people will say, and not give them a search bar at the top. They won't be able to go any place outside of the quiz or exam itself. Okay, if you make the selections here. Okay, and you got 3 choices of yes. Configure manually, which I think probably most are doing. Okay, you can upload your own configurations. I don't know that there's many doing that. And then you can use a client safe browser that some of the schools already have in place. Okay, in which you're going to have to put in the allowed browser exam keys here for those, which I assume you'll have if you have a safe exam browser. Okay, at your school, but I think most will go with this. Okay, and then show safe exam browser download button. That's what it's showing to the students. If you go here, I'll tell you, if enabled, a button for safe exam browser download will be shown on the quiz start page. Okay, where it's alerting the students and letting them know that they're in a safe exam browser. Okay, and that's the reason they can't go anyplace else. Okay, now it's not saying they don't have a phone or something else in their hand. This, and I don't know that many people use this. This is where if you show exit, you can show a button at exiting the safe exam browser, and the assumption is they're done with the quiz. I don't know, most are using this. Okay, and then most of these, I think most of the people would use the default settings here, like ask user to confirm quitting. Yes, you know, you probably do want that and so forth. But I think most of these, I don't think most people will change any of these settings. And might use a password, I suppose, to quit. That gives them a right to exit, but I don't know that most people are doing that. Okay, extra restrictions on attempts. Okay, on these you can put a password in for your quizzes. A lot of people do use this. Okay, where you're going to give the students a given password to be able to enter the quiz or the exam. Okay, then here, if you're given multiple attempts, okay, on your or unlimited attempts, you can put a delay time between each attempt. Okay, now if you're going to have them do as many attempts as they can in 15 minutes, then you're probably not going to do this. But if you're given, like I was saying, I give my college students 24 hours. Well, after their first attempt, I want them to go do a little bit of studying or whatever. I could put so many minutes or so much time of delay before they can do it again. Okay, but my overall time span stays the same, that they have to get all attempts done. Okay, those are just some good settings that you can do. Okay, overall feedback, this is where you can give some overall feedback for the quiz or the test overall. Okay, not specific questions, but the quiz or test overall. Where like you can go a grade boundary 100%. You can put it here, fantastic job, great job, you're so brilliant, or whatever, and it'll give all students that if they meet that criterion. Okay, and then you can go another grade boundary here, like at 85%, you're doing good, but let's see where next time we can get higher. You can choose what you want to put in there, but it would just be overall. If you want a comment for several different levels of scores, 100%, 90%, 80%, you can put them in here by adding fields here, okay, in which it will give you more boxes and grade boundaries. Okay, just something neat for you to put in and give some feedback to your students. The rest of these settings down here, I don't think I need to go through. It's pretty much the same as any of the other activities on your course. I just want to kind of go through some of the ones that are important for your quiz activity that people may not know about. Okay, restrict access. This is a good one though, and I've said it on each and every one. If you'll add restrictions here, you can say they have to get certain activities done or lessons done before they can even do this quiz. It's just a good mastery learning type of setup that you can put into a course when you're doing it online. Okay, I think it's pretty well a wrap as far as going down through, but then if you click save and return to course, that will, I need to delete that because I didn't put any settings in there. Okay, now then, it does, I guess, before I just totally wrap up, show you, it gives you the quiz activity here, but now it has no questions in it. Okay, your next thing will be to add questions, and I'll get into the different types of assessment questions with some of my future videos. So you have it set up, and then if you go to it, then it's going to be giving you option to edit your quiz, in which then that's when you're going to start adding questions to it. Okay, and I'll do that in future videos. So that's a wrap for this one. If you have questions, if you need more information, if I can help you in any way with these types of things, please email me or click the contact us button on the PRISM page, and I'll try to help you in any way you can. If you want to make a video of some of the things that you're doing with your middle courses, and really the things that really work well for you, please, I'd love for you to create a video, send me upload it to YouTube and send me a URL for it, and we'll post it on our website. I'd love to see some of your faces doing this. Have a good day. That's a wrap.